Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So here today to do another episode of my Fabulous Flowers series. So today I thought we would do some paper clips. Obviously done lots of paper clips before in the past, but hopefully these are kind of slightly different and, you know, yeah, kind of bringing a new dimension kind of to paper clips. So, and obviously incorporating flowers. So we're going to make these three different kind of designs. So let me just take them off of this sheet of paper and I will put them on the reverse so they're kind of slightly easier to see. So we've got this one here. Let me turn my lamp on. I don't know whether that's kind of adding anything. Let me just going to fiddle around and see whether I can, oops, make it kind of a bit brighter. So we're going to do one in this particular style, one in this style here, and then one in this style here. So if we kind of get started, we'll just do this kind of little lacy one first. So basically, oops, just move that out of the way. So basically, obviously, to do one of these, what you're going to need is, you know, a piece of lace. I've here got another kind of piece of lace running across the top. I've got some trim here, and then I've got a couple of little flowers layered up in the way of using kind of different types of flowers layered. And then here I've just got a pearly kind of center. So for this one, I have got this little orange flower, which we're going to kind of distress. As you can see, I've just kind of tried to distress it just to check that it takes the kind of distress okay. I have got some more floral trim or flower trim. So we're going to kind of layer it up with one of those. And then obviously, because this one is a kind of orange flower, I don't want to use kind of pink lace or anything like that. So we're going to kind of try and use a slightly kind of, you know, browny kind of toned lace. And as I say that, I now actually can't see my browny toned lace. So, excuse me while I just kind of hunt it down. Ah, there we go. It was just pushed a little bit further kind of into my little bag of laces here. Right. So, obviously I'm using the large paper clips. So what we want to do first of all is obviously cut a piece of lace roughly to kind of be able to slide onto the paper clip. So I'm just going to kind of, oops, move this out of the way. So I'm just going to kind of cut it roughly, and we can obviously cut this down and trim it, you know, slightly further if it doesn't fit yet. So there we go. Let me just put that to one side. So we just need to check whether that's going to fit. It's slightly too wide at the moment. So I'm just going to take it in slightly more. Like that. Okay. So all you need to do is kind of poke this onto your paper clip. It's a bit fiddly, but not too bad. And obviously this is going to be a kind of, you know, sideways on paper clip. So you need to decide kind of which side of the page you need it to go onto. So whether you want it kind of this side, or obviously if you wanted it that side, you would do it, you know, slide it on the other way, because obviously this short piece of lace here we're going to just glue down, and that would be then your reverse of the paper clip. Obviously if you're just making kind of a bunch of them, then it doesn't really matter. You can do it kind of, you know, a variety of them, so you've just got some that you can grab. So I'm going to kind of sit down now to do this, because I have been kind of standing up so that I could check that I was in frame. So I'm hoping that I am. Just going to take the hot glue and literally just glue it along here. Fold it over and just press it down. Like that. So I mean, obviously this series, we're just kind of experimenting with different ways to use flowers in your journals. So if you're just joining me for the first time, in this particular episode, we're kind of incorporating flowers onto our altar paper clips. So we're just, you know, we're just experimenting with different ways that you can use flowers and different types of flowers, you know. So you've got obviously fabric flowers, paper flowers, flowers that you buy, flowers from books, you know, all different types of flowers. So we're just kind of experimenting. Right. So what I'm going to do is take my distress ink and just ink up the rest of this flower like that. So just kind of check it's nicely inked up. Okay, so we've got, oops, my glue. I've ordered different glue again for my hot glue gun, and this one is very, very stringy. There's lots of threads from it, so kind of constantly now with glue threads stuck everywhere. Now what I'm going to do is to take this crochet trim, just going to ink it up. I've already inked a little bit of it from before. There was just a bit left from where I'd used it before. So I'm just going to kind of stick it across here, and then we're going to trim it down. So just so really we've got a little bit more interest going on the paper clip. So if I just pop that down like that, and then we're just going to cut that roughly at the edge so as we get rid of some of that. And then I'm hoping that this is going to kind of go nicely. I haven't actually tried it on there. So I mean, I think those colours look really pretty together. Let me just check I'm in frame still. And recording. Yep, looking good. Okay, so then what we're going to do is kind of layer it up similarly to this one. So I just want to kind of pop a little flower in there. But obviously these flowers are very white. So I just want to kind of tone it in slightly more with the kind of brown shades. So I'm just going to ink that up so it's a bit more kind of browny shade. Okay, hold on. Okay, so then we're going to just cut off the little threads from where it was obviously kind of attached in a trim. Like that. And then we're going to kind of glue that on there. And then, so take some trim. Obviously this one's got some Varimontes trim. This one I thought would look really pretty with the kind of pearly trim. So, and this is just kind of the same as the faux Varimontes that I like using, but it's small pearls. So I just cut a couple of strands off like that. Whoops. And then we're just going to kind of glue this down, pop the flower on, layer up kind of the other flower, and then we'll find a little centre for that. So I'll just get gluing that on first. So hold on. I'm just using my hot glue obviously because you know, I'm trying to kind of do these videos a little bit more efficiently, and you know, obviously things do dry a lot better and quicker using the hot glue. So that's what that is about. So then we're just going to glue this down. Oops. There we go. And then we're going to just pop this little flower in the centre. Like that. And then if I just take, and you know, my go-to more often than not is a little pearl centre. I just love these great big pearls, and they just always look so pretty. So I mean, that's kind of, you know, a little centre there. I'm just going to rummage in my little tin that I like using and just see whether I've got any buttons, just in case I prefer to use a button in this instance. So I've got this button here, still got a bit of thread on it. Let me try and get the, I'll just leave the thread in there for the minute. So to be honest, either looks quite pretty on this. I think it's looking quite nice with either the button or the pearl. Let's have a look. I think the pearl just wins it for me. I have got this Diamante, so we'll just try that. Which actually that looks quite nice as well, because it adds a little bit of kind of blingy colour. But I'm going to stick with the pearl because they are always my favourite to use. So I'm just going to glue that down in the centre like that. Okay, so really simple, but so pretty. And I mean, hopefully you can kind of see the kind of added extra that the flower kind of adds to the lace, because obviously kind of, you know, the lace on its own just looked slightly plain, you know, which is fine, because sometimes that's what you want, isn't it? But if you want something just with a little bit more kind of impact, then the flower, you know, is just really quite nice to kind of use. So that's kind of paperclip number one. I'm going to pop those to one side, and then we're just going to kind of get started on these. So we'll do this one next, and then we'll save my favourite one for last. So for this one, what we're going to need, and again, I've kind of tried to lay out things that I'm going to use. I'm just trying to be a little bit more efficient, so you're not kind of all sat around, you know, while I select things, because, you know, I know that sometimes I can deliberate quite a long time. So I thought I'll be a little bit more organised and kind of have things ready to go. So all I'm literally using for this, I just used a scrap of paper that was literally laying around on my desk. So I thought it would be a bit boring to actually do one, you know, identical, kind of in the same colour. So I've just done exactly the same thing, in that I've taken another scrap of paper, literally, that was laying around on my desk, and I thought we would just do it with that instead. So exactly the same as the lace, all you're wanting to do is kind of get a scrap that you're going to be able to slide over your paper clip. So this one for me, I quite like having the torn edge. I'm just going to tear the edge slightly narrower so as it will slide onto the paper clip. Oops. And kind of neaten up the kind of shape of it slightly more. And then all we're going to do, and I'm going to do, I'm facing this way round now, so it's kind of a left-handed paper clip. Otherwise, for some reason, it's probably because I'm right-handed, but they all tend to just always be the same direction that they face. So I normally trim mine down so I haven't got so much bulk at the back, but that's entirely up to you, because, you know, you may want to have that kind of showing at the back. But I will probably just trim that down like that. It just, you know, personal preference. So I'm just going to then, just as we did with the lace, pop some glue on here and then fold it over, gluing that down like that. Okay, and then all you want to do is kind of layer up a couple of elements, but incorporating some flowers, which, you know, just obviously add a little bit of colour or a little bit of something different onto the paper clips. So here I've got these flowers that I've used already in this series. I really love this particular kind of sheet of flowers. They're just the most gorgeous colours, and they just look really good on kind of most things, to be honest. So I'm just going to cut these out, but I might actually have a look and see what other flowers there are and see whether they're, you know, we could do a contrasting one as well, because I have got plenty of this card that we could do another one in a moment. And then here I've just got some items that I've already stamped. So obviously on here I used a frame, so we'll just kind of stick with that, and we'll just, you know, fussy cut one of the little stamped frames out. Like that. You can kind of have that layered like that. And then obviously I want to ink this up so it looks kind of nice and grungy. I've got obviously that same gorgeous crochet lace trim that I just love using. So we can kind of have that going across the top. So I'm just going to get this piece of card back to ink up some more of that crochet trim. I'll do a kind of longer run of it, because I generally am using it inked up really. It looks really great like that. And then what we'll do, we'll just ink up this flower. Just ink up slightly the frame, not really necessary because it has been coffee dyed. And then we'll just ink around here so as we get rid of that kind of bright white kind of raw edge there. So we'll just take that like that, and then let me move this out of the way so you can kind of see better. We're just going to literally exactly the same. I'm going to stick the crocheted lace across the top. Like that. And then we're going to just pop the frame on and pop the flower on. I think this one would look really good with some Diamante. I've got some gold here, which might be quite nice for a change. I tend to always use the black or the silver, but sometimes it's nice to kind of have a different one, isn't it? I have got a little flower here, button here. But I might decide not to use the button in this instance. We might have a little bow instead. So if we just get the frame, again, I'm just using the hot glue for speed, you know, purely for speed. And then we'll just pop this flower on. You know, so, I mean, so simply, the flowers just really bring something else to the paper clips. Just getting that piece of glue that had oozed out. You know, because without the flower, it just looked, it was lacking something, sort of, you know, that just brought it to the next level, really. So we're just going to stick this little bit of gold trim down. Like that. And we just get our bow. Just pop that on there. Like that. There we go. So, you know, just looks really pretty, and, you know, just kind of adds something really nicely. Let me see what the time is. Okay, so we could do another one of those just very quickly. So this is the scrap of paper. I'm just going to literally cut it there. We'll grab another paper clip. Oops. And again, doesn't matter which way round it's going because we haven't got a particular project, you know, in mind. So we can kind of just pop it on whichever way round. Like that. I mean, you know, not necessary, but I just kind of normally neaten the back up there. So I'll just cut this, glue that on. Just get rid of that extra piece. Right. And then I'm going to take the sheet of all of the small flowers. So let me just bring that in. Just rummaging for it beside my desk to find it. I have obviously been using it quite a bit already, and now, typically I can't find it, which is just always the way, isn't it, when you're just doing something. I think I've got it already ready for the next flower. So if we kind of pull this in, what we could do is kind of use a contrasting flower. So for instance, we could use this dark pink one here. I'll just cut that out. Move those out of the way. Like that. Okay, it looks really nice already. You know, it's quite nice having a kind of contrasting item, isn't it? So what we could do is actually fussy cut this bird so we have something kind of a bit bigger on this one. It's quite a long piece of card, so you know it will work really nicely to have something a bit bigger. So I'll just literally cut around this stamped image of the bird on the teacups. I do really love this stamp of this bird on the teacups. I know that Laura had quite liked it before. It's from, I think it's Crafty Individuals. It's really pretty stamp. I think it's actually a retired stamp now, although I think it's actually incorporated, embedded kind of within another much larger stamp. So the image is still there, but it's kind of mixed in, you know, on another stamp. So, I mean, that is just so cute, isn't it? Or we could have the flower at the top. Let's have it at the bottom. So I'm just going to ink that up. I mean, it doesn't really need it because it is already coffee dyed, but I'll just ink it up a bit more. Just ink around here. So that it's nice and kind of grungy. And I'm just wondering whether I had any other kind of lace trims in my bag to be able to use a kind of more pinky coloured lace, but let me just have a look. I probably haven't. Sorry about this, guys. I thought I was being really organised today and kind of had set everything up just as I wanted it, but I've kind of gone off at a tangent now, doing something extra that I hadn't planned to do. So always kind of a bad thing, isn't it? Right, I've got a tiny bit of lace here, which I'm just going to ink that up and see whether it will darken up enough to be able to use it. It probably won't, but we'll just give it a try because, you know, that would be kind of quite pretty, wouldn't it, if it did. So let me just hang that little bag back. It's just always hung on the handle of my chest of drawers. So we'll just try inking this. This is just the remainder of some of that lace that I've used for, I think it was the sewing journal that we used. Or that we made, sorry. In the series. Let's just see. It's not too bad, not too bad. So if we were to have that there, and then I've got this gorgeous rickrack, which we'll be using in a minute for the next one. So let's stick the bird down, and again I'm just going to glue him with the hot glue just for speed. There we go. And then we'll just pop the lace across the top. And I'm going to try and leave a little bit of space so that we can have that rickrack just above it. And this is so pretty, it's got a kind of sparkle to it, so just makes it that little bit more kind of unusual. There we go. So I'm just going to trim that off at the side, like that. Oh, glue threads everywhere. I'm going to actually throw that other scrap of lace away, so very unusual to actually throw anything away, but it was very tiny what was left, so there really was no need to keep that. Right, and then we can obviously pop this little flower on down here, and then that just kind of ties in the pink down the bottom, and hopefully kind of, you know, as per the purpose of the series, you can just see the kind of difference that it kind of makes by having the flower. Without it, it looks a little bit plain, and the flower just brings the pink from the top to the bottom and just adds that kind of extra dimension. And again, I mean, I'm not here trying to say that I'm the authority on any of this, we're just kind of playing around. For me, that's pleasing to the eye, but you may have preferred it kind of more plain. So that's those ones that we've done. I'm going to pop them out of the way, and then the last one, which I thought was really fun, is this one. So I should have probably got started on this first, because we're going to have to leave it to dry a little bit, because it's got a couple of little kind of effects on it. So what we're going to do is basically use the same flowers but in blue. So I'm going to cut out a large one, and I mean, this is kind of going back to basics. What I've done here is kind of used like a decoupage effect, as in the 3D decoupage, not the napkin decoupage that we kind of do in our journals normally, but the 3D decoupage that kind of you know, I guess card makers do quite a lot. So just cut this out. Now normally I don't necessarily kind of go for decoupage, but I thought this looked rather fun and a little bit different, to kind of add something a little bit different to a journal. So, and you know, hopefully kind of just experimenting and playing with different ideas and things like that. So I'm just literally fussy cutting out the 3 flowers. So basically we've got obviously a large one, and then we've got the identical flowers in the medium size, and then a small one. So I just cut them out like that. So I hope you're all having a good day. Hope it's kind of warm where you are. It was freezing this morning when I kind of did the school one. It was really chilly. Right, I'll just cut out the teeny one now. Oops. don't want to kind of do everything off camera. I realise this might not be very interesting watching me cut, but it's kind of hard to find that kind of middle ground where you're not kind of literally doing everything off camera, but you are doing a lot of it. Now, what I did on this one is I just tried to curl the kind of edges slightly. So I just literally took my scissors and kind of curled them in. That makes sense. Like that. And then I probably should have inked them first, actually. So I might ink the other two first. So we'll ink the flowers up. And then we'll curl the others in. And then what I did with the next one, I curled it under. So that's that one. And then the big one. Like that. Okay. So I curled these out like that, just so it's got a kind of bit more dimension. And then I curled these ones just under slightly. Just again, so it had a little bit more kind of dimension to it. And then I did the same on the big one. Just kind of curled them round just slightly, just so they kind of had like a little bit more effect to them. So that's those. And then I just took the 3D pads and obviously stuck these down. So what I tend to do is I buy these ones that are kind of largish squares, and then they can be cut into smaller sizes. And I always like to kind of glue mine down as well, because I don't quite trust them to stick. So just literally, oops, see those glue threads, they're just dragging the pieces now across the desk. Oops. There we go. So I hope that you're kind of enjoying this series. You know, I hope that it's kind of bringing something new to the table, even if it's not kind of, you know, revolutionary stuff here. It's just otherwise I feel a little bit that I'm kind of just repeating, you know, an old process if I were to just work on another journal or, you know, an altered book or something, because obviously, you know, we have kind of done that a couple of times now. So I just wanted to kind of do something a little bit different. And I thought this might be kind of fun, because obviously it's all different things that we'll be doing, you know, bit of kind of everything. So there we go. Right, so now that all those are on there, I'll just pick off the paper here, this side. Oops. Oh. There we go. So what I want to do is now run my glue round, because obviously I like it to be kind of nicely glued down. You know, you don't necessarily have to do this. I just really like, you know, making sure it's really stuck. So that's that one. And then we'll just stick this one down in exactly the same way. Just take a couple of tiny ones. Ah, just flinging it around now with the threads of glue that are just on my fingers. So hold on, there we go. And the last one, there we go, across there. And that's probably all the ones that I need. So those way, right. So then I'll glue this one down. Like that. I mean, as I say, you don't really need to use the hot glue, you know, if you're confident that you're pads do stick. I think mine do stick. They are pretty sticky. But I just like to be on the safe side. So there we go. So that's kind of the flower. And then what I've done on here also is I've kind of tried to get these little dangly bits hanging. So if I just grab some of the trim that I used from my little bag that's hung on the handle here. So literally I just took a piece of this lace and just cut a couple of strips. So, oops, that's one, and then we'll just have another one. I just thought it looked, you know, quite pretty and added something kind of different to the clip. So obviously, you know, if you don't like that, you don't have to kind of bother doing this, but you know, I just thought it looked kind of a little bit different. And then I also added a little length of this glittered rickrack, because I just thought, again, it's just something a little bit different to kind of use. So I take that and then just want to kind of roughly have that kind of running down the centre. So I'm just going to kind of glue that down like that. And then let me check I'm filming and in frame. Yep. Then we just want to have a couple of bits of lace running down. So I'm just going to trim that slightly because it was a little bit too long. So we just pop that on there. And then the next one, which I suspect is a bit long as well. So we just trim. Oh, that glue is everywhere. I don't know whether you can kind of see that, but it's really stuck everywhere. Right. So we just pop that down there like that. Okay. And then take your paper clip, glue off of my fingers a little bit. Right, take your paper clip and we're going to pop it just on the back like that. So what I did with the last one was I stuck it onto the card that was going to kind of back it, and then stuck that onto the flower, if that makes sense. So might use something slightly flimsier, so I'm just going to use some of this. And then, oops, like that. Now, what you want to do is kind of trim it down so you're not going to see it visibly from the other side. So that might mean rounding the corners off slightly, like that, because you want it to, you know, sit on there neatly. You don't want it obviously showing from the other side, like that. Okay, so just get my hot glue, like that, and just press that down everywhere like that. Okay, and then obviously it's up to you how you want to finish this off. I finished the pink one off by using some glossy accents around the edge and some glitter in the middle. So if we just kind of do that now, oops, just so I kind of go through the whole process with you guys. So check them in frame, yeah. So first of all, we'll just take the glitter, and I quite often just use my finger and just pop just glitter there, just in the kind of centre of the flower. Just think that looks quite pretty. So that's that. And then with the glossy accents, Now, unfortunately, my bottle of Glossy Accents is leaking at the side. So in a perfect world, I would have run this around the edge. Unfortunately, I can't really do that because my bottle has split. So what I'm going to do, I think, let me grab my paintbrush, is I'm going to pop some on here. If it's even going to come out now. I literally had used this, you know, half an hour ago when I did the other one to kind of check that it worked nicely. Okay, so I'm going to run around it with the paintbrush because, as I say, my bottle's kind of damaged, which is a bit of a shame because obviously now it's not going to have quite the same kind of raised effect. But there we go. So that's that one, and then we'll just go around the second one. And obviously, you know, this is just how you want to do it. I just fancied doing it like that. I'm just kind of putting the card under to prevent me dabbing it on the petal beneath, but again, you know, you may be kind of more careful than me. Well, it's not that I'm not careful, but I'm a little bit clumsy, as you know. So there we go. Can't actually see now where I started. And then I just went round the bottom layer as well, so I'll just go around that as well. So, you know, I mean, you may not want to put glossy accents around the edge of yours. You know, might kind of not want to do these at all. But I just thought they looked quite cute. Just a little word about these, actually. If you're likely to make any of these, and I mean, obviously, you don't have to use my flowers, you know, from the flower pack. I'm sure kind of other flowers would be fine, you know, or other shapes. You know, we're just kind of doing ideas here. Oops. There we go. So that looks pretty. Just a little word about these ones. This one, obviously, or these style, they're going to hang off of your page. So if I just demonstrate that, in fact, let me demonstrate it on this so it's slightly easier to see. Let me stand up to make sure that I'm in frame. So they're going to hang off your page here at the side. So you might not mind that. For me personally, I would be a bit clumsy to be able to actually not knock that and damage it. So these, I think, are better for pieces inside of your journal. So if I just kind of bring a page in, so hold on, I shall move this gently out of the way. If I just demonstrate here, these would be better for things like here, where I've got this paper clip here holding this closed. Obviously, I mean, obviously not here because this one is, you know, then sideways on, which is slightly weird. So actually I'm not going to use it there. I'm sure that I did use a sideways on one somewhere in here. Well, here would be a good example. So if you weren't closing this with this, then obviously this would be an ideal place to use this paper clip. I mean, I think that looks really, really, really gorgeous. You know, yeah, really, really like that. So, you know, it's not too bulky. I mean, obviously that's got some bulk underneath it. So, you know, but if I show you from the side, that actually is quite flattish still. I mean, the main bulk is really the paperclip itself. So, you know, I think that looks really pretty and just a lovely way to close something off. So, yeah, I hope that you if you like them and think they're cute. I really think they're super cute. So that was kind of just another little idea of ways to use flowers. So obviously we've done kind of the three different types of paper clips. The lace one there, and then the kind of banner style paper clips, and then these, which are kind of, you know, my favourite so far. So I hope that you all had a good time. I hope that you found this useful. I know it was a little bit scatty, but you know, I hope it was okay. I hope you're enjoying the series, and thank you very much for tuning in. I will see you next time, and have a great day. Thanks, Em. Bye.